everybody. Welcome to the LandSkyAI podcast. My name is Colton Terry. Today, we're joined by industry expert Tuvi Cohen with 15 years of experience in various tech industries, including aerospace and robotics. How are you doing today, Tuvi?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited from today's podcast, as this is my first one.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast. All right, so let's get straight into the weeds. So how did you kind of, across your whole span of your career in various tech industries, end up in the drone and robotics field?
Okay. So it's a classic story of a kid who become interested in drones and robotics as a young age, built systems from remote control cars and old computer parts. Not really.
Yeah.
I actually had a really regular childhood. I loved playing with, cars and things and drones and nothing out of the ordinary. It was when I got older when it was starting to be interesting. So I'm originally from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know that, but at the age of 18, it's mandatory for everyone to join the military for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. I was recruited for the telecommunication division. And I started as a commander for the telecom school for the Army. So I taught soldiers how to utilize all the way from like basics, push-to-talk radio, all the way to encrypted satellites and heavy and interesting communication things. And I did that for 2 years. And then on my last year, I joined the division in the Israeli military in the HQ in Tel Aviv that was managing the communication between special forces throughout UAS. So different unmanned aircraft that did different tasks and mission. And we actually managed the whole communication and data transfer between special forces. And there I was exposed to very interesting solutions, met and worked with a lot of industry leaders at the time that developed different drones and robotics and solutions like that.
And what kind of year are we talking about here? Are we talking about the preliminary stages of the innovations of drones, or is this more along the ways of kind of like where are the stages of where you are today? Where are we talking about?
I'm not that old. We're talking about 2003 to 2006.
Okay.
So drones were already in use heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the past 20, 25 years, the industry has evolved, but the technology was there. And as you probably know, everything starts with the military and then shifted into the commercial application.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was throughout 2003, 2006. And from those days, I worked in different industries and different companies. And on around 2017, I relocated to the US, worked with a couple of interesting startups. And the last one, one of them was the drone in a box, a company called Easy Aerial, with very interesting technology where basically everything that I did before and the people that I met all combined to this amazing solution, a very interesting niche in the industry. I was the project manager working on deploying very interesting project across the industry, anything between commercial applications for parameter security, inspection, and working with very exciting companies across the way.
Was that kind of the first point that you entered a project or a business development role from in Tel Aviv, or were you kind of like already experienced in business development, project management, or once you came to the US and started working with Easy Aerial, did you kind of have to learn or pick up different skills from past experiences to kind of acclimate to that new process?
Yeah, so I worked in different companies prior to Easy Aerial here in the US and in a couple of other places, and already came with those skills managing projects. I actually relocated to the US with a company that was a leader in collision avoidance systems for vehicles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is that kind of in the fleet management realm?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically in 2017 and around those times, this technology was available on almost every private vehicle that has, some sort of a warning system, a radar, a camera that assists you when you're driving. But for the commercial fleet, it was not there. And then it's another Israeli company that I worked with that developed this idea of how to equip the vehicle with those sensors, connect everything to a platform that you can manage and basically reduce accidents or collisions and anything in between.
Awesome. And were there any other experiences that you had prior to Easy Aerial that really, those skills or experiences really allowed you to be proficient in the world of drones and robotics going forward?
I think mostly in the military, and afterwards working in a telecommunication company that was managing those communications and process within types of different robotics. So it was not only drones, it was different applications and robotics tools that were overseeing different activities. So over the years, I dealt with a lot of different and interesting technology. But I will say the most attractive, or the one that was drone oriented, was the one in Easy Aerial.
Okay. And then how, like, as an industry expert, throughout many years, how do you stay updated on the developments or the advancements of the most cutting edge robotics and drones that are around today? Do you have kind of like a bank of information? Is it an accumulation of experience where you know where to look, people to talk to? Kind of how do you remain the expert on what is cutting edge today?
So it's a mix of maintaining a very quality networking activities. So I'm heavily involved with going to events related to drones, robotics, smart cities, cyber, and anything between. Not particularly, from Israel, but in general from the industry. I'm joining a lot of webinars and going to events that are relevant in the market. I like to read articles and speak with different leaders. And it seems it's because it's like always, expanding, that there's a lot of new things and people involved. And I tend to, keep them in my networking bank and make sure that I'm tracking interesting people.
Of course. And on that note of like expanded technologies, what do you see as the benefits of drones and robotics, specifically in the security sphere?
It's a good question. I think there are three main elements or benefits that I'm seeing. The first one is scalability. The second one is consistent. And the third one is access to data and capabilities that were not there prior to drones or working like with a standard security. And I will explain. So, prior to security or standard security applications are something that exists for many years. It's evolving. It's exciting. There are many things out there, but it's still involved with the human factor. You still have a lot of people involved. It's heavily invested on people, and people have boundaries and capabilities that are defined to the physics of the world. So they need to take a break. They can only work for a specific time in a day. They have only 2 eye sets. They cannot see in the dark so good. So I think the fact that you can get everything in a tool that can empower that layer, and it's scalable. So it takes whatever you can do with one individual and do it in a broader way. So that's like the main benefit. The second one, of course, it's, as I mentioned before, consistent. We are doing excellent work, but it's not consistent. And a robot or a drone can do the same work every time, every day, and provide the same needs or exercise that you ask them to do constantly. And the third thing is the fact that there are things that robotics and drones brings to the world that will not exist or available to us before. If you're looking at the basic parameter activity or any security activity, that think about all the data points or the things that you capture as data, and now having this unmanned or this drone providing you with new aspects, new features, utilizing different sensors. So thermal, different high-end cameras. You are now exposed to new data that will take you to different places and provide you with something that was not there before, and definitely will be a game changer for the industry.
And then how do you, like, a part of that, those advances and using drones and robotics to kind of fill gaps and not take over jobs, but kind of fill the gaps of where people aren't able to work overnight or different things like that. A part of that is actually using artificial intelligence within those robotics and drones. So how do you see the advancement of those AI capabilities in the robots and drones influencing the security field?
Yeah. So I believe, first of all, the advantage in AI is the ability to get a decision and to actually act or respond to an event in a very accurate and efficient in real time. AI is a broad name for a lot of things that happens, machine learning and computing power. And I think specifically in the security industry is the fact that now a system, a machine, can get a decision very accurately if it's defining or finding an issue or a hazard or detecting a pattern that repeats itself and react or act very fast. Mm-hmm. So the computing power and the capability to connect all the dots, it's what's going to be a game changer within the industry.
Mm-hmm. And can we talk about any, say, given example of that kind of like action step of an AI kind of making a judgment, then making an action that speeds up the process of response?
Absolutely. So think about any site, any construction site, facility, commercial site that has CCTV cameras, and the setup is that you have a person or an individual or a team sits in a room and actually monitor people walking back and forth or different, triggers or alerts. Mm-hmm. In compared to a system that is fully autonomous, connected to tons of databases and with a computing power to get a decision in an instant. So, for example, if somebody breach or just, let's say, a vehicle drive across your construction site, the system can automatically capture the license plates, go throughout the database, detect that this guy or this vehicle belong to somebody that is potentially a thief or had a past with something related to there's an issue with it. Mm-hmm. Immediately, it's gonna connect all the dots, give a trigger, send the drone or give some sort of a notification to the team on site or even the police. Now, think about an individual goes and breach to your facility by having an instant capability to do either facial recognition, an object recognition, go back, connect all the dots, see exactly where are the areas that he comes from, and pinpoint the law enforcement or the people throughout the event instantly and seamlessly. I think that's where it's going to take every scenario, every data point, every event, and immediately connect that into a flow that will be...
And also, like, accurately have those integrations connected. So that's a huge thing, is having all this cutting edge technology. It's great, but also being able to actually connect that with existing technology that's in the infrastructure of construction sites, real estate, any kind of given property.
Absolutely. And once you train different models on AI to different specific needs, specifically with, let's say, security, mm-hmm. you can become more efficient in predicting and not being reactive, being proactive. I think that's the biggest change or the game changer in the industry. Like, security is always reactive. You're waiting for something to happen and then you react. But the fact now that you have this power, this capability to understand patterns, to accept data in real time and do something with it, and then be proactive and prevent things from happening. security breach, even hazards and things that happens on your site, or connect all the dots in real time and say something going to happen. I think that's where it's going to be most efficient.
For sure. And with all that technology being provided now, how do you see the cost effectiveness of this technology compared to any traditional security measures?
That's a very good question. I think that most people usually think, because it's like high end or drones or robotics, that it's going to be expensive, that the cost of the expense is high, or an investment. But actually, it's not. If you can save a lot of money, if you create like a breakdown of all the costs that for the traditional security array, let's say there's like the direct cost, like security guards, the CCTV, or other, parameter security tech, and then the indirect costs, insurance, issues that happens, your brand being hurt. If you take all of those compared to what are the costs for having or maintaining a drone array for security, it actually can save you a lot of money, and the ROI is there. It's worth it. I don't know if we want to go into the actual details, but it's sometimes half or even a third from the cost of what is the actual traditional security array.
Yep. And it's been going down and down and down. So it's always kind of exponentially, the amount you're getting is always bigger bang for your buck, one would say, as the future progresses. So now we kind of get onto the little bit of the later side of the podcast, and I wanted to talk about the future of drones and robotics. So I really want to ask you, how do you envision the evolution of drones and robotics, specifically relating to security technologies in the next 5 to 10 years, or even further if you have ideas about where it's going?
That's a great question. I think we're going to see a huge growth, and we're going to see more of those solutions being embraced in the industry within the 5 to 10 years. Once it's going to have some sort of a jump in, I will say, the boundaries or the challenges that they're suffering from now, and I will explain. So there are two things that limits the capability of any robotics. It's like the physics. Batteries, for example, it's a main component in robotics, and there's a specific time that they can work. There's a limitation for what you can get from robotics, and you can see already that there's a breakthrough in types of robotics and batteries that they can work with. So once they're going to get there will be an improvement, and drones can function for many hours without being charged or something like that. That will be a game changer that will say, okay, now we have an actual tool that can work unlimited amount of time, or at least provide more, and that will increase the amount of drones or robotics that we're going to see. And the second one is the elements, the fact that those robotics are now working in different environments, but has limitations: heat, cold, wind, water, and the materials that we're using now is also something that there's some sort of an evolution. And I think within the next 10 years, you will see more of robotics being manufactured from materials that will be less affected from the elements.
Yep.
And the third thing is definitely the computing and AI. Once they're going to breach or improve the capability to compute and to do certain AI or machine activities in larger scales on a small chip, you're going to see more things are happening throughout an aerial or some sort of a robotic tool, and that will definitely will be a game changer for the industry. And I believe that all of the things that I just mentioned will happen within the next 10 years.
Yep. One thing that actually really interests me on kind of the AI part is the fleet management systems of drones. So right now, a lot of drone systems work with singular drones. But I think in the next 5 to 10 years or even further, the technology to be able to have drones working as a team, as like birds do in a flock is going to grow exponentially. And I think that is a really interesting technology about how the robotics, the ground robotics and drone robotics will eventually be working together in continuity, depending on the actions that the AI is based on. And that kind of fleet management system is out there, but on the commercial level, we're really only dealing with singular robots and drones at a time.
You're absolutely right. I think we can see the beginning of that. I'll say technology, but those capabilities are being created now. There are platforms that being developed now that has the capability to calculate in real time flight patterns and seeing other aircrafts and work in
light show, per se. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's only the beginning. You're right. Once we're going to get to the point that the system will be working together and have the capability to, in real time, do those calculations and seeing everything and having working together, that will definitely, jump the industry forward and take us to the place that we want to see. We're talking about like deliveries and security and anything between inspections, and it will be all working together when you have those.
Yeah. So I was just about to bring that up, how drones and robotics, the amount of use cases that one particular product is doing is expanding. So first, it's drone use for security, but on the construction side, it can be used for inspections, AI inspections of building facades, but also doing surveillance and security patrols around there's also drones around the world that are delivering medicine to communities, the rural communities. So these different use cases that all these drones and robots are doing, they're going to start expanding and doing multiple different jobs out of one product. And that is also interesting because you can have a couple robotics doing a lot of different jobs depending on what time of day, what time of the year, all those different things.
Absolutely. Multiple applications. Definitely there's an impact on costs and capabilities that you can do an all-in-one tool. And I think you can even think about, further on and seeing the fact that it's going to be there to serve everyone, the community, the law enforcement, this private person that has this facility. The system will have access to a lot of data and capabilities that can do a lot of things. And it's definitely interesting and fascinating, and that's the future.
Yeah. And now the hard part is actually implementing it. Not the hard part, but the biggest part is actually implementing it and maintaining it, because it is quote unquote autonomous, but not really. So it should take a lot of work to be able to actually set it up the correct way and maintain it in an efficient manner too.
Yeah, I think, when I relocated to the US, it was funny because I started with this company that has an amazing technology, but who's going to install it? Who's going to maintain it? And I met this guy that told me that this is what we're missing in our perception of world. It's like there's amazing companies that develop this amazing technology, but eventually, if you want to have some sort of a commercial or scale application, you need a lot of you need somebody to install it. You need somebody to maintain it. The autonomous part, it's definitely related to the way that you gather the data or the missions, but at the end, you need those experts and people to make it happen. And I think that's a key point for, at the end, you have this amazing technology, but you need to have integrators and service provider that will be in this realm in order to make it scalable and support, maintaining it. So.
Of course, most definitely. Alrighty, so now we're kind of at the end of our podcast. Tuvi, do you have anything else to kind of end on? Any final notes on the security industry, on drones or robotics, or how you've kind of gotten to the point that you are today?
I think it's related to the industry and where I'm at with drones and robotics. It's fascinating because although I'm not an engineer or I'm super techy, but not in a level that you can think it's like my my major, I will say. But I think my interest is to come up with and seeing those technologies and actually fulfill them into something that is given meaning. For example, the fact that I was a project manager or managing those projects, it's the fact that I can connect the dots and find customers for problems. So I think that the whole innovations in robotics and drones has tons of capabilities. And what I'm saying is, for me, is like a playground. I can find those people that has a need, and I'm seeing how those solutions are solving them problems. So definitely, I'm excited to continue this path and working with companies and promoting solutions and building the future, basically.
Awesome.
And I think, this ecosystem of technology and AI and a lot of innovation with, I will say, a source of like, there's a lot of opportunities here in the US for this innovation that embrace and there's a lot of early adapters that see the capability and understand the meaning of it. And that's what I'm seeing for the security aspect. So although this is just the beginning of people utilizing drones and robotics for security, I think it's just the beginning, and it's going to grow very fast. And I'm happy to be part of this journey.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more, Tuvi. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening in. Everybody make sure to follow Tuvi on LinkedIn. Tuvi, do you have any more plugins to talk about? Alrighty. See you guys.
Pleasure.
All right. Bye now.